The crypto market is absolutely ripping today. We've seen the entire dip that we saw from the war news completely deleted, and some altcoins are finally starting to move. In this video, I'm going to go over the altcoins I am most dialed in on and accumulating rapidly, as I think the next 6 months in this market could be very eventful and really euphoric, and why this could be one of the last chances, not only to accumulate cheap altcoins, but to have a traditional cycle. We're seeing all this institutional interest, which is great for Bitcoin in the long term price action, but are we going to continue to see alt season in the future like we have seen in the past? I'm going to go over my thesis and why we need to capitalize over the next 6 months on the bullish end of the year. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And as always, guys, be sure to drop down below if you enjoy the content here on In the Game. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. It helps us get in front of more like-minded crypto bulls just like yourself. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on the channel, our featured premier centralized exchange, 𝗵𝗆𝗡. We did a full tutorial video on the last video on this channel, how to maximize your use of 𝗵𝗆𝗡, from the leverage trading to the copy trading. And they have an incredible sign-up bonus and competition going on right now where you can earn free money and all the way up to an Omega watch. So check out down below 𝗵𝗆𝗡 in the link down below in the description. And right now we are looking very bullish. Look, that entire dip caused by the war and the conflict has completely been erased, as we're sitting close to this 108K level over the 30-day time period. Even with economic turmoil, we're seeing 4.56% up on the 30 days. And even some altcoins are waking up. When we do filter by the 1 day, we see Tron memes like Sundog, and we'll talk about Tron here in just a second. Off a big news day for Tron, this thing is up 20%. We see stuff like Keto, which is a nice DeFi protocol, up 16%. We see 𝗬𝗎𝘆𝗏, one of my favorite buys from earlier this week, or really at the end of last week, up 10% on the daily. Caspa up 10%. We see 𝗪 up 9.7% as well. So some of these altcoins are getting money, and a lot of these have relevance. I mean, 𝗬𝗎𝘆𝗏 with Black Hole coming up. I think a lot of people are going to be buying Super. So I expect this chart to look very good throughout the end of the summer, heading into the Black Hole launch. Stuff like 𝗧𝗏𝗏, they have their new launch program going on right now with their 100K market cap launches and their SocialFi style platform. Obvious why this is up 16% on the weekly as well. So good to see altcoins reacting well. And look, why would you not be bullish? The thing about it is, of course, every time there's war or turmoil, people love to get scared. They love to look at the instant market reaction. And yes, the market did react negatively for a very swift and quick time period. Then the dip got completely eaten up, and now we're looking more bullish than ever. We just crossed back above 108K here. And look, when you're seeing stuff across the board with the adoption on Bitcoin, where MicroStrategy just decided today to drop another 10,000 Bitcoin, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. I mean, how can you not be bullish? You're seeing companies in different countries, even not just US companies, trying to accumulate and hoard Bitcoin. This is an arms race, as I've said on this channel, to get as much Bitcoin as humanly possible in your treasury or in your wallet. So first and foremost, shout out to everyone out there who's accumulating Bitcoin, because I think that is the gold standard, no pun intended, to be able to win long-term in crypto. But right now, what we're seeing is a big shift in altcoins and in major protocols, as today Justin Sun's Tron to go public in US via reverse merger with NASDAQ-listed SRM Entertainment, as the SEC pauses the fraud probe. And the deal, backed by Trump-linked investment bank, will form Tron Inc., with Eric Trump expected to take a role. So what this is, basically, Tron is going public in a reverse style way to get public. And, you know, when you look at it, Tron and Justin Sun were just under investigation. And basically, he just dropped all this money, and now they're going to go public in a reverse merger with an existing listed company. And what this all points to me And a lot of people on YouTube, you always see the thumbnails, even this thumbnail, it might say like last chance or something like that. And look, you might have time to accumulate altcoins. Obviously, the Bitcoin dominance level has been hovering around this same level, about 63% for quite some time. And, ETH dominance at 9%. So right now, we're not really seeing altcoins or alt season formulate. But whenever you see this type of stuff right here, you're going to start to see the big dogs and the real protocols separate themselves through stuff like this. And we might not have an altcoin cycle, in 4 years from now or the next cycle, whatever the case is, like we could have this time around and like we've seen in the past ever again. Like, to me, this could be one of the last opportunities to really take advantage and ride up a full-blown alt season. And yes, alt season has not happened yet, but we have not seen that plateau on Bitcoin dominance. And I think throughout the rest of the year, how could you not be bullish? I see price action doing very, very well to close out this year. And I do think we will start to see altcoins and real revenue-driven protocols succeed. I'm really, whenever it comes to gaming coins, for example, really, there's probably only 5 to 6 that I would even want to entertain at this point. And that might sound crazy, but when you start to dig into what's getting attention this altcoin cycle, it is simply protocols with revenue, real users coming in, using it every single day, and the protocols themselves are making money. That's why you invest in a stock, and I think a lot of mindset is shifting towards that outside of the meme coin sector. So for me, that is what I am looking at. And right now, look, gaming, while I would love the niche, and I do think there will be a gaming run, as whenever I see it formulate, it's not even just going to be like a gaming sector run. I think that it's just so beat down that you're going to see these coins recover when altcoins as a whole start to run. But right now we see a crypto game at the top of the App Store charts, which is very nice. This is FIFA Rivals from Mythical Games. We also saw in different countries 𝗕𝗘𝗄𝗏 at #1. This is also a recently launched crypto game. So look, gaming is not dead, but as an investment sector, your capital is definitely eroding there. The only gaming coins that I'm still really locked in on at this point would be Super, Ronin, Beam, Prime. And then that fifth one is up in the air for the most point. Like you're looking at stuff like 𝗔𝗔𝗄𝗏, you're looking at stuff like IMX, for example. But for me, I think 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the #1 as far as speculation, price action, integration. And then you look at stuff like Ronin and most likely IMX, because it is the highest market cap gaming coin. People are going to flock to that over time. And I think once mainnet comes on Gunzilla, you could see really good price action. But for now, it is very stagnant at this point in time. But let's get into what I'm really focused on this cycle. Like I said, revenue drivers and cycle leaders, okay? You do not want to be left behind on trains that are just absolutely ripping. And look, you might be looking at these charts on stuff like Hyperliquid, which, even at $34, when I first said look, I'm aping in here, I think you need to have Hyperliquid in your portfolio. It was like $34 or something like that. I was scared that I was potentially buying a top, right? My bag's up 33%, even over the course of literally less than a month. Like whenever you look at this monthly chart, I bought around here. At the beginning of June, like 3 weeks ago, I really said, you know what, I'm going really heavy on Hyperliquid. I see the use case. I think this coin goes to $100 before the end of the year. And now we're sitting at new all-time highs around $45. And a lot of people are still wondering, is this trade way too crowded? But at the end of the day, I love the logic behind a few of these. So Hype to me is still the #1 coin for the rest of the cycle. I don't understand how Hyperliquid doesn't just continue to print money, buy back the token. They use the fees to buy this back every single day. And I don't know how this doesn't hit $100 over the course of this cycle. And I love this tweet here. As one of the best bull cases for Hype at the current elevated prices, quote unquote, is that funds that were sidelined on Sol from $20 to $200, they look back in that trade with so much PTSD that they missed the opportunity to ride Solana from $9 even at the lows to $200. And they don't want to relive that scenario. And at the same time, this is playing out exactly the same. Like Hyperliquid got down to, I think, $17 or so whenever the the market was really bearish after the Trump token launched. And now we're sitting at 45. And I think we're on a fast track to $100. And if you think that everyone's in this coin, you are absolutely mistaken. Hype at all-time high, but HyperEVM is only at 10,000 daily active users, guys. It is not a consensus trade. As much as people on the timeline and you see this coin ripping day to day, they literally buy back the token with their revenue every single day. Like, they are putting their money behind your bags. It is the #1 decentralized exchange in crypto. It is the decentralized exchange that powers my platform, Nexus, where you can trade. Like, we utilize Hyperliquid's technology. So at the same time, like, I think there's so much room for growth here. And if you're scared to buy the top, go look at one of my last videos on Hyperliquid as to how to get exposure to the ecosystem without feeling like you're buying the top, aka how to qualify massively for the next upcoming round 2 airdrop for Hyperliquid. But look, you're looking at a chain here with 10,000 daily active users, and there's only 29,000 total users. I think it's right there in front of you that this has so much more upside to come, and we're going to keep riding up Hyperliquid throughout this cycle. Also, alongside hype, I can see this continuing to rip. I think 𝗬𝗎 season is really about to heat up. When you look at the entire ecosystem, the on-chain metrics are just screaming at us. Let's go look at 𝗬𝗎. I think it bounced back above that $3 level. And look, whenever you're investing, you always have to have an ever-evolving thesis. So, of course, a year ago or 6 months ago, I was all in crypto gaming and sparse in AI, top protocols, etc. But when you start to really have to dig into, okay, what is the sunk cost, or what is the opportunity cost of just sitting in this niche before, it finally takes off, if it ever takes off, right? In investing, the smartest investors have ever-evolving theses. So I think not having as much risk exposure into gaming, which has been by far probably one of the worst niches in crypto over the past 18 months at this point in time, I think you have to be able to adapt and look at other protocols like a Hyperliquid, like a 𝗬𝗎, like an Avalanche, a Virtuals, whatever the case is. So when I'm looking at 𝗬𝗎 here at $3, and let's just look at the all chart here, this thing recently hit $4 or up to $5 before Trump launched the Trump meme coin. And the on-chain metrics here scream to me that this is primed for upside. The amount of stable coins on the chain have gone vertical, and it was at 400 million in January. Now there's triple the amount of stable coins on the chain. The TVL is at 1.8 billion, which is third among non-EVM chains. Wallet adoption now on the integration of Phantom and the rebranded 𝗬𝗎 wallet Slush. 𝗬𝗎 lend over 600 million in TVL, which is a 90% increase in the past month. So adoption and capital is coming to 𝗬𝗎, and I think that cannot be ignored. So Hyperliquid and 𝗬𝗎. And if you remember, a couple weeks ago, guys, I did a video of the 5 coins that I would be holding this cycle. It was Hyperliquid, 𝗬𝗎, 𝗬, it was Virtual, and it was AVAX. So that thesis still to me maintains. I think going really hard on cycle leaders is going to win long term. And yes, I am in AVAX. And is AVAX's price action a little bit frustrating? Absolutely. But those who are participating in the ecosystem are absolutely winning. So sitting under $20, first and foremost, I think this will be the biggest catch-up trade in all of crypto whenever this does happen. The institutional interest. We have BlackRock doing an RWA initiative here. They have memes, they have DeFi, they have gaming, they have AI. Everything lives on Avalanche. And when you take a look here, the utility projects are continuing to flock over to Avalanche. They have it all. Like I said, I just mentioned all of these things. I think the long-term time horizon on Avalanche itself is going to win big. You look at the network activity. Once again, the proof is in the pudding. When you see here the amount of transactions, the TPS, it is insane the adoption that is going on Avalanche at this moment. And a lot of this is coming through the Arena app, through the course of meme coins. And look, memes on AVAX are 100 times hotter than the memes on Solana. We recently seen Lambo, which is one I'm writing up. I think Lambo could hit $100 million market cap. I think just it makes sense. You want to buy a Lambo? Buy Lambo on AVAX. It's just the whole culture around AVAX is aping into this coin, and I think that this is going to do very well over the next couple of weeks. as the AVAX meta continues to rip. I'm in some chats, I'm talking to some founders, etc. And I know there's a lot of big money and a lot of big players and teams moving over to Avalanche, trying to launch their meme coins or trying to launch their protocols and do their own L1s, whatever the case is. So I think the rapid adoption, but also the lore here. You know, you want to buy a Lambo, you buy Lambo on AVAX and you ride that up to $100 million so you can get that Lambo. Like, I think this will probably 2x from here. And it will be the first coin out of the Arena app that hits $100 million market cap. And you can track all of these using tools. So for someone who's brand new to the ecosystem and maybe has experience in the Solana meme coin space, you've had tools in the past like Photon, BullX, whatever the case is. You can go to arenapro.io and you can start seeing the hot coins, what's getting volume, when things are graduating, different market caps, the newest pairs. It's a really good tool to just be able to track what is going on in the Avalanche ecosystem, because I think that's the one thing I hear the most. Like, yeah, Hustle, we see the things going on Avalanche, but how do we catch these things? How do we track these things early? It maybe doesn't seem as accessible to certain people, but very easy. Use Arena Pro and you're going to be able to jump in. Let's just click on one of these coins here, Integrity DAO. You can see who started this coin, when it was created, the amount of transactions, the wallets, the holders, the top holders, whatever the case is. So really good tool here, arenapro.io. I think you definitely need to check it out and also just be diving into the AVAX ecosystem. Alongside stuff like Hyperliquid and Abstract upcoming airdrop, for example, you know, things like Black Hole on Avalanche, there's only 19,000 wallets here. I think this could print a pretty good airdrop for those who have interacted with the Black Hole testnet, for example. This is also built on Avalanche. So to me, Avalanche, the adoption has already happened, and now I think price action will catch up. And Jesus Martinez had a great point. Good friend of mine on Twitter the other day. I had commented or I had tweeted about that. I think it's going to be a big catch-up trade. And he says, Dino coins always pump the hardest near the end of the cycle. And that does typically happen. So I think for people who are holding AVAX and maybe feeling a little opportunity cost in other places, like, okay, I'm sitting in AVAX while this coin or this coin is doing, you know, numbers on the side. I think this will materialize, but patience is going to be key. And then last but not least here, I want to talk about the virtuals ecosystem. So for me, the coins that I'd still be accumulating at this point in time, I'd wait for a little bit of a dip on Hyperliquid, but we gave that one to you guys a little above $30. I finally said, you know what, I have to get involved here. This trade is looking like the best trade of the cycle. So I'm looking at Hype, 𝗬𝗍, Super, as well as Avalanche, and I love 𝗬𝗨. You guys know I love 𝗬𝗨. I think 𝗬𝗨 is the #1 coin in the entire AI ecosystem. When you're looking at it under $400, that is an absolute steal. And also stuff like Render. I feel like Render just doesn't get the love this cycle yet. It's down 20% on the 30 days, but it is still the 3rd largest AI coin by market cap. It's even above, you know, artificial super intelligence, which is multiple projects merged together. So I think a sleeper accumulation there would be Render. And then you guys know I love 𝗪𝗏. Well, let's go to 𝗪𝗏 and let's see where this thing is sitting at right now. At $2.41, down 44%. A lot of these alts are just getting hit hard as 𝗬𝗨, you know, this is in the 𝗬𝗨 ecosystem. So 𝗬𝗨 is down on the monthly. You see its ecosystem coins down on the monthly. You see stuff like Guns down 45% on the monthly. I think these are pretty good accumulations here as far as lower market cap coins, stuff like Guns and stuff like 𝗪𝗏. And then I'm also getting a lot of questions on Twitter about when am I exiting the virtual Ponzi? And so let's look at the virtuals token. First of all, it has been very steady in price action. And honestly, it is one of the coins, the few coins that I would hold for the duration of the cycle. Like, I think that this is going to perform very well. We're still over 50% off of all-time highs. But right now, it's a big game of musical chairs on their platform. And a lot of people are aping into every single launch, making money. But if you sell, you go to points jail where you can't accumulate more points to put towards new launches. So what is this? This is basically a Ponzi or a pyramid in some sort of way. So my strategy, this launch here, Backroom. So I've participated in this since week 1. I've been doing points. I've been diving into the ecosystem. I've been allocating into different launches. My staked agents are looking very heavy. And now my portfolio in virtuals is well over 5 figures plus. And at this point in time, I'm starting to wonder every single day, is it time for me to liquidate a bunch of these and accept the fact that I'm not going to earn points for a 10-day time period? So this launch right here, Backroom, I think this is the one. And this launches in 19 hours from now, from whenever I'm recording this video on Monday, June 16th. So this one looks like a very good use case platform that I could actually see virtuals bulls and participants using. So for the most part, a lot of these launches have been nothing of note. Like, I've not used a single platform or any of the products that these agents are pushing out. It's a pure Ponzi at that point. Like, people are not selling so they don't get penalized. But at the end of the day, the second that whales start to sell in this ecosystem, the house of cards could just pull out from the bottom, right? So this one here looks pretty interesting. It's an alpha type creator thing. Creator drops alpha, community can make profit, screenshots flood the timeline, degens ape into creator keys pump price, room pumps. So for me, this one here, they already have 𝗖𝗵𝗆𝗍𝗍 onboarded as one of the creators on this platform. This could be one that users actually flock to. So I want to allocate into this one, okay? So I'm going another day. I'm going to accumulate my points, and I'm going to go hard on Backroom. I'm going to save some points for future launches over the next 10 days, but I am going to sell most, if not all, of my agents tomorrow. After this launch, I'm going to take profits on a ton of stuff. I'm going to hold this one temporarily because I see the use case in it. But a lot of people who have asked me, what is my exit strategy? I'm going to take profits on everything existing tomorrow. So depend on how big the bag is. I might shave off 80%. I might just shave off 100% of most positions, but there might be some that I do end up keeping. So just a heads up, I have been playing the musical chairs Ponzi House of Cards on virtuals, but I do plan to dump a significant portion of my agents after the Backroom launch. So that is really what I'm doing in the market right now, guys. For anyone who has been following along though, SPY Inc. game, they just launched their TGE whitelist today. So over the next 72 hours, there are going to be different stages: whitelist, first come, first serve, and public. Their hard cap is 2.6 million. I think this could be a very big cook in the base on-chain gaming ecosystem. We've seen stuff like On-Chain Heroes, Bitcoin, stuff like Hedge Empire, and I do think on base chain that SPY Inc. does look very promising. So the TGE public sale, or really it's private, but it is a public sale, is now live. And this TGE, I believe, goes live later this week. So guys, that's it for me. I'm just focused solely on accumulating heavily and focusing on those top bags. I'm done allocating into a ton of gaming coins that are all promises and all talk. I'm adapting my ecosystem and my thesis as far as investing tenfold. And whenever I posted that 5 coin video a couple of weeks ago, that is legitimately like what I am focused on. 𝗬, Hype, AVAX, 𝗬𝗨, those types of coins, that's really all I'm interested in at this point in time. And then I do think Super is going to be a big trade whenever the black hole TGE gets announced. People buy Super to stake Super. It's so much easier than going and interacting with the test net. So I do think a lot of people are going to do that. And then I am writing up Lambo. I do think Lambo could potentially hit 100 million and be the first AVAX Arena coin out of the Arena app to hit that $100 million level. So that is what I'm looking at this point in time, guys. Let me know what altcoins and what protocols you're focused on in the comment section down below. And I will have a big update coming up also on the crypto gaming space, because I know, like, I'm as disappointed as you guys. It's not really been the most fruitful from an investment standpoint. I do think as an idea and a concept and a technology integration perspective that gaming on-chain is still the future, okay? I do think Web3 gaming is still going to make it long-term. But as far as investments, you can't treat it that way. Like, unfortunately, the amount of unicorn startups and AI in the real world, way outlast the amount of hit games. Like 99% of games fail in traditional and crypto. But in crypto, it feels a lot worse when you pick a loser. So I'll have a big update on the gaming space and my long-term plan coming up very soon. But obviously want to keep you guys in tune as to what I'm focused on and what I'm locked in on in the current market. So guys, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more every single week here on In the Game. And I'll see y'all on the next one. As always, play well, my friends, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.